find rest.
Rest of mind.
Right?
So you're not having a rest of mind before that you had to search for where to get serenity?
I mean, for me, it was I always knew Islam was the right way. Even when I was jahil, when I was doing whatever I was doing, I always knew that one day I was going to come back to deen. It was just difficult leaving those things behind, leaving your friends, leaving your culture, leaving your society, leaving the things that I was doing for the dunya, leaving that stuff behind and focusing on just being me, being by myself. And it's interesting because that poem that you mentioned, For the Love,
Yeah, For the Love,
that poem came at a very interesting time in my life. I was already an established poet. I was performing mainly for non-Muslims. I was doing a lot more kind of socially conscious poetry. And I remember when I made that transition into more Islamically inclined poetry, some of my peers didn't really understand what I was doing. So really I wrote that poem as a way of introducing them to this thing that I loved that nobody else really understood. And I found myself constantly having to defend Islam, constantly having to explain things. And then I realized that, hey, this love is not for everyone. Some people are lovers, some people are haters. For me, it was, I knew what I loved, I knew what I wanted.
And that was Islam.
And that was Islam. And it was difficult explaining that to people. Even some people in my family, they saw me coming from such a different perspective, as a complete 180.
Like a stranger,
Yeah, and being from the ghuraba, being a stranger is not only amongst non-Muslims, sometimes it's being a stranger even amongst Muslims. So I experienced that, and alhamdulillah, it made me a better person because of it.
MashaAllah. You've performed in a lot of locations and in different events. What would you say inspires you?
Inspires me?
Yeah, what keeps you going to do this poetry and spoken words?
I think gradually I've also made a transition consciously from just doing spoken word to now doing filmmaking as well. I actually run a media company.
Filmmaking now?
Yeah.